Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1073A, and today's date is September 12th, 2016, and the title of the episode is TPP, TTIP has a backup plan. It's called CETA. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, today on the market, we see that the market has been pushed up. The plunge protection team stepped in, got the free money from the Fed, put it into the market, and pushed the market up and erased pretty much all the losses of Friday. It's amazing because when you look around the world, we see Europe, Asia, those markets are all down. The U.S. doing fine. And we know the central bankers, they're going to continually push the idea that everything is fine here in the United States. And they're going to continually do this even when we're going through the collapse. They will continually tell everyone as they're starting to push QE, 2 trillion, 4 trillion, 8 trillion, as they're buying equities maybe, as they take over the entire economy, they're going to tell everyone that everything is fine. This is the way the economy is supposed to be. The central bank runs the economy, the central bank is the economy, and everyone else just sits on the sidelines. And people, of course, are going to scratch their heads saying, how can this be? That the stock market is up, everything is fine, but nobody's working. Factories are closing. Strip malls are completely empty. I can't find a job, but everything is fine. And Deutsche Bank is continually warning us that we're going to see problems ahead. Actually, Deutsche Bank has their own problems called derivatives. We see Wells Fargo has their problems where an entire department of like 5,000 people creating phony accounts. And this is well known within the industry. It is completely amazing what these banks get away with. And Deutsche Bank is out there saying that 2017 earnings, they're going to drop sharply. We're getting warnings from other financial institutions saying that we are most likely in a recession now. But we know the U.S. government central bankers, they're not going to admit to that. Now, we understand that the U.S. government central bankers, their agenda is to control the world with a one world government. They're finding that to be a little difficult because the governments, of course, will not give up power. They can be swayed, they could be bribed, but they don't have complete control. So they need to create something completely different where governments believe they're in control. And we discussed this before. It's called the ISDS. It's the Investor State Dispute Settlement. And it was supposed to be expanded with the TPP. But we can see right now the TPP might have problems. And of course, Obama is waiting for after the elections in the lame duck session, hoping to push this through without anyone looking. Maybe bribe a couple congressmen, get it through because they really don't care at this point. But we can see right now this is the plan. But if they cannot get the TTP through, or throughout Europe, the TTIP, if that doesn't go through, and we can see where there's many, many problems out in Germany, out in France, and many other of the European countries are saying no way to this deal. We see they have a backup plan. And this backup plan is the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA. Now, this is coming out of Canada. It's European Union and Canada. The agreement allows any corporation that operates there, regardless of where it has its headquarters, to sue governments before an international tribunal. It threatens to tear apart the laws that protect us from exploitation, and it's an obstacle to the passing of laws on both sides of the Atlantic. And we already know that system is the ISDS. And what we're seeing right now, is that Europe and Canada, they're almost ready to pass this. I mean, this trade agreement, which is, it's really not a trade agreement, is around 1,600 pages long. And it was kept a secret, just like the TTIP. And what we're seeing right now is that the agreement, CETA, threatens to cement privatization by making impossible the renationalization or the attempts by cities to take control of declining public services. Now, CETA will allow corporations to sue governments when they consider their expected future profits are threatened by any new laws that those governments come up with. CETA also places restrictions on the methods by which governments can protect their people. It seems to prohibit, for example, the adoption of rules that would prevent banks from expanding into the state of too big to fail. It seems to threaten our planning laws and other protective measures based on common sense. And of course, CETA claims that it's a trade agreement, but we can see many of its provisions have really nothing to do with trade at all. Some Bulgarian MPs, they're worried about CETA, but this is their backup plan. This is the plan if they cannot get TTIP. And we can see right now, the U.S. government, central bankers, and central bankers around the world, corporations, they want this. Not for the people. Not for the good of the people. They want this for themselves. They want total control. And what way to do this is to be above governments, to control governments, to rule above the laws of government. And this is exactly what they're doing right now. And if we allow this to happen, if we allow these trade agreements to get passed, it's going to be horrific for the people. It's going to be awful for certain countries. Because what's written in these things does not benefit anyone except the elite, the central bankers, the corporations. And we can see they really want these passed. Because if they don't get these passed, and governments wake up and the people wake up, they will have the ability to go after the corporations, the central banks. They won't have to go to their ISDS courts. Governments will say, no, we're going to pass a law and you have to abide by it. Now, is this just going to happen? Can governments do this? Can the people rise up and say no? I hope so. Because if we don't, at this point, because we're at a crossroads right now, if we don't do this, it's looking like it's game over. They would have set up the one world government because they will have control. The people will actually lose control. And we can see this is exactly what they wanted from the beginning. So the people around the world, and we can see it throughout Europe, there's many, many protests where people are saying no to TTIP, no to CETA, no to all of this. The people here in the United States, we need to wake up. We need to say no. We need to tell our representatives, which they really don't represent us because it seems like they're bought off by corporations, central banks, but we still have a little bit of a control because we can say, listen, we're not voting for anyone unless you do what the people say, or we make a move and we remove these individuals. But we can see the people at this point, the people need to start taking back the country. The people need to say no to these individuals in government. The government individuals who are there, and I'm not even going to call them leaders, they cannot take bribes, they cannot take money from lobbyists. They cannot take money from central bankers. They cannot take money from corporations. All of this should be stripped away. Because once you start taking money from all these different organizations, those organizations control you. And this is what corrupted a lot of the system. Because they take the money, they report to the corporation, to the central bank, to a foreign government, and they no longer work for the people. And as this system is collapsing, as this system is ripping itself apart, we have an opportunity right now. We have an opportunity to say no more. We're not doing this anymore. We have an opportunity to repair things, to remove the central bank, and to replace those individuals that are corrupt. So again, we're at a crossroads. The people are going to have to decide what they want to do at a certain point. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.